What are the symptoms of anxiety? The symptoms of anxiety include excessive worry and fear. Excessive worry and fear, just like it sounds, is where you are always worried about everyday living. You are worried about if you will be able to pay your rent, which is triggered by maybe financial difficulties. You are worried about your children being okay because of COVID, or because they are out there in a space where you have no control. So excessive worry, where you constantly are worried about various areas of your life. At work, you are worried about whether you will meet the deadlines, and this worry and fear causes you to have bodily sensations, like now the heart rate is, your heart keeps racing, your mind is all over the place, you feel always on edge, you have nervousness, it's hard for you to concentrate. These kinds of worries, they will trigger these symptoms that I'm talking about, where you are unable to be calm. And a lot of times people say, I feel so stressed. And so if you think about it, if your mind is constantly racing and constantly thinking from one thought to another, it's very difficult for you to sleep. So that is the other symptom of anxiety, is that you have disturbed sleep, or you are not able to really rest. When you go to bed, it takes you a long time to fall asleep. When you sleep, the sleep is not restful. You have nightmares, you have anxiety dreams, and one of the dreams that I know is very, very common is the dream where you feel like you are falling, and just before you hit the ground, you wake up. And you wake up, you are hyperventilating, you are very tired, or you are in panic when you wake up. Some people have been known to scream in their sleep because they are having those nightmares, thinking that something bad is going to happen. And then we also have a lack of focus and a lack of concentration, which can take away your motivation to work, because you sit there and because you cannot focus on something, your mind is all over the place and you're not able to finish the tasks that you have. You start this one, you can't finish, you move into another, and you are walking around, and at the end of 2 or 3 hours, you are really wondering, what have I done? Now, the other thing is fatigue. So you can imagine if you are constantly worried, and then that worry causes you not to be able to sleep well, no matter how much you stay and not do anything, you still feel tired. It's because your brain is not resting, because you are worried, you are fearful, and you are wondering about so many things, and you feel like your plate is overflowing with unresolved things. And so it causes you to be constantly very tired. You are in a gloomy mood, you are irritable, you are yelling and shouting at the children, you are quick to anger, and sometimes you might find yourself not wanting to be around people. You start isolating, and when you begin to do that, then you are moving now towards depression. And so anxiety can also trigger depressive symptoms. And so it's very important for us to understand that. The other thing that you struggle with is your self-confidence. Your self-confidence is not as good as it would be if you were at peace. And the self-confidence is because you are not able to focus on decision making, you're not able to focus on problem solving, you feel like everything is all over the place. And so your confidence, even when you are doing the tasks that you are doing, is compromised. And so even when you do well, because of all this pressure that you have, you are not able to enjoy the process of getting the result that you are looking for. And so eventually, as a person who has a lot of anxiety, you end up having what we call imposter syndrome, where because you didn't enjoy the process and you are working under so much pressure, you didn't have pleasure in the process. And so you think everybody is happy about what you have accomplished, but you yourself, you don't feel any joy out of it. Or even if you do, it doesn't last, because again, you will start now wondering, did they say I did good because they want me to just feel good? So you have self-doubt. You don't have a lot of a lot of feeling of I have control over this. The other thing that that is important to also understand about excessive anxiety is that you will have problems even with eating. Your nutrition is not good, and so you tend to some people will find themselves either skipping meals, they are not eating well, they are not even drinking water, they are not hydrated. And so what happens is that there are some physical symptoms that they will experience, like ulcers, low energy because of not giving their body good nutrition. And then those who go into emotional eating, they are only craving for carbohydrates or starches, and so they gain weight, or what happens to them, their immune system is low because they are not feeding their body the right way. And so it's important to understand that anxiety will create those physical symptoms. Ulcers, all of us know that when you have a lot of stress, it triggers what we call the hormone of cortisol, and it affects your GI system. And then I also know people who bodily wise, they will find themselves running to the toilet a lot because they feel like they are feeling like they have diarrhea, and they struggle with that. The other things that physically you feel when you have anxiety is muscle tension, very much, because again you keep because of staying in that anxiety, your body keeps producing adrenaline, which keeps you intense in a state of being very feeling tense. And so that will cause back problems, it will cause neck pains, it will cause muscle pain, muscle tension, and so it's very important for us to understand the need to manage our anxiety, so that even physically we are okay. So you can imagine a person with very high anxiety, they are constantly sick, headaches because of the tension, and then you can also develop high blood sugar or even high blood pressure, which now creates much more suffering for you. And so these symptoms of anxiety, they are important to identify so that you can get interventions before it becomes a situation where there is no point of return. So for more information and for more checking to see whether you struggle with this, go to our resource page, and I will have an assessment there for you to take to see the level of anxiety that you live with.